Good Android tablets are making a comeback and I could not be happier. After the wonderful Xiaomi Pad 5 and the powerful OnePlus Pad that launched in the recent past, we now have the Xiaomi Pad 6. And trust me, the Pad 6 is a worthy upgrade for sure, and I'll tell you why in this very detailed review of this device. Now, if you're watching our video for the very first time, I'm Ershad and this is Trakin Tech English, your place for detailed gadget reviews. The very first upgrade that Xiaomi has made is definitely in the build quality, which is much better now. The plastic back on the Pad 5 has been replaced with a sturdier metal one. The frame is also made of metal and therefore adding to the sturdiness of the whole device. The camera module continues to jut out from the rear, so therefore when you place it on a table, there'll definitely be a lot of table wobble, but the design has also been changed now to look like the Xiaomi 13 Pro's design. While it does look very premium for a tablet, I find it funny that Xiaomi actually made this much effort for a single camera that's there inside the module. But I'm not really complaining out here. In my Xiaomi Pad 5 review, if you haven't watched it yet, you should do that. A link should pop up right now. I had mentioned that the plastic back attracts a lot of fingerprints. Also, what's a fingerprint magnet is this plastic rear panel, especially in this black. But thankfully, the metal on the Pad 6 doesn't do that, and that's definitely a good thing. Now, similar to the Pad 5, the Pad 6 is also an 11-inch tablet, and it is very comfortable to hold and use as well. Of course, ergonomically, it's good, but what also helps matters is the fact that the Pad 6 is thinner and lighter than the Pad 5. The placement of the power button and volume rocker is very similar to how we have it on most tablets these days, but what's evidently missing is the fact that you do not get an embedded fingerprint scanner. That would have been a nice feature to have. A major upgrade on the Pad 6 is that Type-C port. You now get a Type-C Gen 3.2 port, so of course you get faster read-write speeds for sure. And apart from that, you also get support for HDMI out, so you can connect your tablet to any monitor with a Type-C to HDMI cable. In fact, even the more expensive OnePlus Pad has a USB Type-C 2.0 port and it doesn't offer features like this. Another design change is the magnetic connector pin for accessories is on the back now, like the iPad Pro. Now, the problem with this design is that even if you just want to attach a keyboard, earlier you could just attach a keyboard, but now you will have to use a keyboard folio because it has to connect to the back, which means that you will have to live with that added bulk. Anyway, I will talk more about the accessories a little later. Now, the display size on the Pad 6 is similar to the Pad 5. It's 11 inches and it uses the same technology, which is IPS LCD. Of course, everybody would want an AMOLED screen, but in this price range, it's impossible to get. Now, the immediate upgrades on the display of the Pad 6 is that you now get higher pixel density and a higher refresh rate of 144 Hz. And you know what? It definitely makes a huge improvement in real life usage. This is a good quality display. Now, the 144 Hz refresh rate is a variable refresh rate and it's got a 7-stage cycle which can switch between 30, 48, 50, 60, 90, 120 depending on the content that's playing on the screen. And you know what? This adaptive refresh rate has been tuned really well. When you're using your finger to swipe through the app drawer or just, swiping through apps and using the home screen, you will always see 144 Hz refresh rate, but you stop doing anything and it'll drop down to 30 Hz. And fun fact, when you take the Smart Pen and use it, the tablet display is stuck at 120 Hz. It doesn't go to 144 Hz. All of this switching happens almost instantaneously, and this is definitely kudos that, needs to be passed to software engineers at Xiaomi. The peak brightness of the display is a very good 550 nits and you also get support for Dolby Vision, and the Dolby Vision HDR performance has been tuned really well. It's very color accurate and looks very good as well. In fact, on the more expensive OnePlus Pad, you do not have support for Dolby Vision on Netflix. Interestingly, the software also has an option to run the entire system UI in HDR using the video toolbox. I found that kind of odd though because it sort of reddens everything a little too much. As for the quality of the IPS LCD panel, it's gently good, but what I notice is that at slight angles, sometimes you will see a color shift. Now, one really good thing that Xiaomi has done is the oleophobic coating on the Pad 6 is very, very good, which means that most of the times you won't have to have a microfiber cloth to wipe out the smudges. This is especially good for big tablet screens because generally it becomes a hindrance as the visibility reduces because of the smudges. That doesn't happen on the Pad 6, and good job, Xiaomi. Now, to round out the multimedia experience, you get 4 speakers with Dolby Atmos support. They get loud, they are rich, they sound very detailed as well. And what I was particularly happy about is the sound staging. It does sound very wide for tablet speakers, but it could have had a little bit more bass. Why don't you take a listen to it right next to the OnePlus Pad and let me know what you guys think. Performance on the Pad 6 has also been upgraded now. From the Snapdragon 860, you now have Snapdragon 870, which is definitely much more powerful. You can also buy two variants of this tablet, 6128GB, 8256GB, and that's LPDDR5 RAM and UFS 3.1 storage. So whether you're gaming or using it regularly, the SoC is more than capable. We got an Antutu score of over 6.7 lakhs and the CPU stability score was 89%, which is absolutely fantastic. The tab doesn't get hot or even throttle during gaming either. Talking about gaming, Call of Duty Mobile runs at very high and max settings. I played for a long duration and it didn't get hot at all. Apart from that, you also get an upgraded game mode with a special performance mode, which I think you should switch on when you're gaming. So if you ask me if this tablet is meant for gaming, I would say definitely yes, especially considering its price category. And the good thing for Xiaomi is that it doesn't really have too much of a competition in this price range either. Moreover, like I mentioned, MIUI is phenomenally well tuned. The tablet just flies when you're using it. It instantly responds to your touches, apps open fast and shut down fast as well. All of that is very well tuned on MIUI. Now, with respect to network connectivity, you get support for Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. Now remember this is not a 5G tablet. So if you're looking for a 5G option, then this is not the one for you. And also if Xiaomi had to get a 5G tablet, it would be more expensive. Now as for the sensors, there's no proximity sensor, which is not necessary, but there's no compass and magnetometer either. And that is problematic because if you want to use maps, then it won't be, useful because it won't be accurate. All that performance, what about battery life, you ask? Well, it's got an 8800 mAh battery. Again, a slight bump from the Pad 5. The battery life is actually very good. You can expect 2 days of usage on very heavy usage. Now MIUI doesn't show you the screen on time, but it's about 12 to 15 hours of screen on time for sure. You also get support for 33 watt fast charging, and in our testing it took about 2 hours to charge from 0 to 100%. Now the Xiaomi Pad 6 runs on MIUI 14 based on Android 13 with of course MIUI Pad on top of it as well, which means that there are tablet specific features that I will talk about. But before that, I need to mention that you will get 3 years of security updates, and I have no word on the number of software updates you will get with the Pad 6. The moment Xiaomi mentions what it is, I will let you know in the comment section below. I really like the tablet specific features that you get with MIUI. Firstly, there's a persistent dock, which means that the dock is not only existent in the home screen, but even inside any app you can invoke it. You can of course open apps in split screen, but for apps that are supported, you can also have 2 floating windows on top of it, and the pad is powerful enough to run all of them smoothly without any stutter. Apps like Instagram actually work in full screen. In fact, there are a lot of apps that work full screen even if they don't support it. And for Twitter users, I would suggest that you use Twitter Lite because that's a better tablet app on Android. There's also a new beta feature which is exclusive to the Xiaomi 13 Pro right now. In that feature, you can actually mirror the 13 Pro to the screen of the Xiaomi Pad 6, which is okay, but what is more interesting is that you can directly drag and drop files or whatever you want from the 13 Pro's mirrored display to the tablet itself. I know that Android for tablets definitely has a lot of room for improvement, but full marks to Xiaomi for trying and getting some interesting features out there. However, Samsung's Android for tablet experience is slightly better. The ecosystem play is also slightly better, especially with Dex, which on certain flagship Samsung tablets you can actually run it by default on the tablet itself. You don't even need to connect it to another display. Alright, let's talk about the cameras. Honestly, there's not much to talk about cameras on tablets. They have specific use cases, and I really scoff on people who actually use the tablet as a camera device. But on the Pad 6, you get a 13 megapixel camera on the rear with flash for low light situations, and you also get an 8 megapixel camera on the front. Now, if you insist on shooting with the rear camera, it takes good enough pictures, and especially when the light goes low, it starts getting softer. But with the night mode, it sort of becomes better, and of course, you have flash as well. And the front 8 megapixel camera shoots at full HD resolution, which means you can also do zoom calls at full HD resolution, which is definitely a good thing. But the real use case for the camera on the rear is for document scanning, and Xiaomi is smart enough to actually include that feature within the camera app itself. Alright, let's talk about the accessories. We tried the folio case, this keyboard folio, and of course Smart Pen 2 as well. Now the folio case is good enough, the quality is good, and it doesn't add too much bulk either. Neither does this keyboard attachment, which is definitely a good thing because the keys are actually recessed inside the base. I have no problems with the key travel. The key spacing is also very good, so typing is easier. Now the keys are mushy. I wish they were slightly stiffer, and apart from that, there's also a slight bit of latency from when the keys are actually pressed to when it displays whatever you're typing on screen. Now on this keyboard, you do not get a trackpad, which is a bit of a letdown, but as a consolation, you do get a multitasking key. Now this multitasking key is actually very useful once you learn the keyboard shortcuts, and for that you just need to long press the multitasking key to see what all shortcuts are available. For example, press that key along with tab to go to recents, press that key along with D to actually open up the home, and press that key along with the down button to actually invoke the floating window. So I do like the keyboard, and if you're considering buying this pad, you should consider buying the keyboard as well. The Xiaomi Smart Pen is also in its second generation, and this is one of the good styluses out there after the Apple Pencil and the S Pen for sure. It's connected by Bluetooth, you can place it like this, and of course it charges as well. While you do not get that pen to paper feel, the latency is good enough. But what I do like about this Smart Pen is the primary and the secondary functions that you get with the buttons. So if you long press the primary button, you can directly take a note. If you long press the secondary button, you can directly take a screenshot. And when you open the Notes app, the secondary button can actually switch between the different nibs or the different pens that you want to use. Now if you're wondering if these accessories are going to be compatible with the Xiaomi Pad 5, well, they are not going to be compatible. Also, all the accessories are optional and you will have to buy them separately, so that's more money for sure. Now, the Xiaomi Pad 6 is a very easy recommendation. The upgrades are legitimately good. And it builds upon the user experience of actually using an Android tablet, which is not great to begin with. Xiaomi certainly is making the effort of making MIUI for Pad slightly more tablet oriented. And if you're looking at the overall experience along with the software, I like the Xiaomi Pad 6 more than the OnePlus Pad. Of course, you also have Samsung's tablets, which are closer to the iPad in terms of ecosystem play, but they're generally more expensive than the Pad 6. But yeah, if you want the absolute best tablet experience, I would suggest buying an iPad. Even the iPad 9th Gen, which is around the price of the Pad 6, is still a good option. Because not only is the ecosystem play absolutely fantastic, you also get a wide variety of tablet-ready apps, and the external accessories ecosystem that is already available will tire you down with the number of options that are there. Regardless, the Xiaomi Pad 6 stands out. It's an excellent tablet for the price especially, and like I've mentioned in the title, I absolutely loved using it. Alright, what do you guys think of the Pad 6? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.